Next CSS assignment has to do with borders, padding, and margin. This is all set up on Google Classroom. Here are things that are set up for you. There is a help page. Looks like this. I want to show you a couple of things that are on the help page. You're going to have to write 4 rule sets today, and they're going to have to require certain things. You have to write a rule set for paragraphs, and you need to make sure you include these things right here. It's on the handout. Background color, border style, padding, margin left, and margin right. I want you to experience and experiment with how those work, and so you need to include those in your work today. You'll have to write a rule set for H1 headings, and again, the same set of things: background color, border style, padding, margin left, and margin right. I want you to include those in your rule set. I'm going to do a little walkthrough here. You'll see more about it in just a minute. You have to write a rule set for H2 headings. And the same 5 things: background color, border style, padding, margin left, and margin right. And then you're also going to have to write a rule set for images. And you don't have as many things to put in that one: border style, padding, and margin left. I want to make sure that those are in there. I'm going to be looking for those. All right, so it's 4 different rule sets, and there are certain things that have to be in there, and those things are listed on the handout. So you can pull up the handout and have it in a separate tab if you need to do that. So that will keep you on track. Another thing that is present for you that you can look at is example code. In this movie, I'm going to show what this looks like when you put it together. But here is kind of an example of this assignment right there. You'll see a rule set for paragraphs, for H1 headings, for images, and for H2 headings. And all of the things that are required are in there, plus there are some extra things that I put in there just because that's me. I just like to play around with it, and you should too. Now, I know what's going to happen. There are going to be people who take this text and they copy it and they paste it into code.org. And, I can't stop you from doing that, but if you do it and you turn it in that way and it's exactly like what I made, then you get 0 points for that. Just nothing. You get nothing for that. You would have to tweak it and play with it and change it, and it cannot look the way I made it. Or, like I said, you get 0 points for turning it in that way. But I did try to give you something to look at that would help you a little bit. And so that's why I have that example on there. The other thing that's posted here on Google Classroom is a link to the code. And so I'm going to go ahead and click that now and get going on my walkthrough here. When you click the code, it's going to look like this. This is a little page I put together about the people who have played James Bond in different movies. I'm going to go down to the bottom and click View Code. I'm going to remix it because you have to remix it to be able to edit. So I'm going to go ahead and do Remix. And then again, this is another time when you don't have to do a thing to the HTML code that's here on like if you click on index.html, the HTML code's fine. You don't have to do anything to that. You don't change that at all. It's a combination of H1s, H2s, paragraphs, and images. And those are the 4 things you're going to write some rule sets for. So let's hop over here to the style.css and let's kind of go to work. Now, here's a thing that you could do. If you look over on the left-hand side, there I included this image called gold.jpg. That was kind of a nod to Goldfinger, which is one of the Bond movies. But it's making that gold background. And so right up here in the body part of the style.css rule here, says background dash image. This is from a previous assignment. Background image, URL, gold.jpg. You wouldn't have to leave it like that. If you think, I don't like that gold background, well, then take it out and just maybe go background : gray or something like that and look. All right, if you don't like that gold image or gold background, switch it. I just did a little bit of editing there and I switched it to a color. Or if you are okay, or the other thing you could do is go find a different image. But if you don't mind it being what it is, then you can just, you can just kind of leave it like we had it right there. Background dash image, URL, gold.jpg, and you got that gold background. That's really kind of up to you. The background's up to you. All right, so let's go to work on like the paragraph rule right here. I'm gonna pull this over kind of nice and close so you can see it as we work through this. All right, I'm going to leave that color black, and then this is one that's not required, but I'm going to do font dash family just because I want to, right? I hope that, and I'm going to use monospace on that, and I'll put a semicolon. Now, if you looked over there, the monospace font went really small, so I'm going to say font dash size colon, and I'm going to go about 16 pixels there, and I'll put a semicolon at the end of that. So that font size, you know, I might even bump that up a little bit bigger. I might go like 20 pixels, semicolon. So now the font size of that paragraph is a little bit bigger. Okay. Now I'm going to add in a background dash color, and I misspelled it, so I should make sure that I'm getting that spelled right. All right, I want background dash color. And, you know, I'm going to use one of those tricks where I'm going to just stick a color in there and then hit the lightning bolt. We did this on on the movie that you saw. I don't know if we did it this way on the previous time. Anyway, click that lightning bolt and you can drag around here and it gives you a color picker, and I can get a background color I like and click that X. Terrific. Semicolon at the end of that. The semicolons at the end are going to become important today, so you better be careful. This is where we get into things that are required. I'm going to say border style, and I want solid on this one, I do believe. All right, now this is where we get into a kind of a new concept here. So this is where this is not required, but I want it. Border width, and then I'm just going to do like 3 pixels. I made the border a little bit thicker. That's all that is. All right. Now here comes the kind of a new part. Okay. Padding. Padding. Now I want you to watch what it does, and this is where you got, this is the like one of the things of the lesson. If I came later and said, well, what's padding? Can you describe padding? So I don't know. Well, then I failed. Watch. All right, I'm going to say padding colon, and I'm going to throw in about 30 pixels worth of padding. I'm going to do it with pixels, and that's a little bit of an exaggeration here, but if you'll look at the paragraph now, look what happened. There's like this margin all the way around the box that the paragraph is in, and the padding is causing the text to be like 30 pixels away from the edge of the box, and I could adjust that if I think, well, 30 is a little bit too much. I could go 10 pixels, right? I could do something like that if I wanted to. I could play around with that number, but padding, I want you to see, what if I really exaggerate? 50 pixels. Look at that. Look how much empty space there is between the words and the border. That's what padding is. And I think it can really make a page more attractive. It can make it look much better. I just shifted it back to 10 right there. All right, now let's look at one more thing on the paragraph, and then we're going to move on. We're going to do margin. And now, the thing with margin is this. When you type the word margin, if you look on code.org, you'll see that you have different kinds of margin. Margin bottom, left, top, right. All right, so I'm going to throw in margin left here. All right, and I'll do and you could try other things. You could try some other things, but margins will work with either pixels or percent, either one, percent of the page or pixels, whichever you would like. So, like if I say 30 pixels and semicolon, again, I don't know if you saw that happen, but if you look at the paragraph over there, that is right here. It's scooted in. There's some empty, there's a margin. It's got pushed over. There's a 30 pixel left margin. You can also do this. Watch, just to show you. Let's say 30%. What if I say 30%? Oh my goodness, look at that. Now, on the computer that I'm working on, it jumped way over here because that's 30% of the screen real estate that it has to work with there. And so it jumped way over. 30% is quite a bit. So you can work with either percentages or pixels, either one, whichever you would prefer to work with, right? So I might set that at about 10 pixels. Let's go 20. I'll go like 20 pixels. PX. And what that does is just indent the paragraph a little bit. That's basically all it does, right? Okay, so let's go on and let's do some other things, right? Now this is for H1 headings. And the only H1 heading on this whole thing is the one at the very top of the page that says Bond, James Bond. That's an H1 heading. So, you know, again, you got a few things that I want you to do to it here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do text-align. And I'm going to do it center. And so the text, it probably just jumped out of view in this movie, but it's centered now. It's centered on the page. And let's add a border to it. Border style, and then pick something, right? You don't have to do the same thing as the one I do. I'm going to make it a double border. Now, this is where, here's another, well, and, oh man, so many things I could show you. Now I put in border radius, but what I'm thinking here is I might go border top left radius and set it to like 20 pixels. And if you will look, the top left corner of that box just got curved, but the bottom left corner didn't. Do you like it? I don't know. I don't know if you like it or not. That's kind of up to you. But look, I'm showing you have control over that. That's what I want you to see. Border, top, left, radius. So the radius on the top left corner is the only one that got curved because that's what I told it to do. All right, let's move on. Let's do something else here. Play with this stuff. You have to play with it to be able to learn it. I'm going to do a margin dash left, colon. And this one I'm going to put on 30%. And I'll show you, if you can't see the result of this as I type it, I'll show you here in just a second. Put a semicolon on that. And I'm going to put margin dash right and colon. And I'm going to do another 30% and put a semicolon on the end of that. And I can show you here that now what's happened here is this kind of got squeezed in. I already centered it. And it's kind of gotten squeezed in. You know, I think I really have to do this. I can't live without this. I'm going to go border dash top dash right dash radius 20 px semicolon. Now if you'll look at my, oh, you know what else this really needs? It just really needs a background dash color colon, and I'll put a semicolon there, and I might change that, click that lightning bolt and play with that color a little bit, make it more just a pure white. Okay, now all that work, right? But look at what I've got there. I've got those top corners are curved, and it looks like it's kind of centered because I gave it left margin and I gave it right margin. And now the only other thing I would have to add to finish this out is it needs padding, and I'm going to put padding colon. I'm not going to put a ton of padding in there. I'll put 5 pixels worth of padding, semicolon at the end of that. And now again, what you see there is that we've got some space, some padding around the lettering. Cool, good. All right, so that takes care of paragraphs and H1s. Now, I'm kind of coming down the home stretch here with what I'm going to show you in this movie, because really now it's just a matter of doing, you got to do something for H2s. So I'm going to write a rule for H2s real quickly here. Let's see, I think I'll do font dash family. And I'm going to use sans serif, and I'll put a semicolon in there, so I just changed the font. I'm going to do font dash size, and I'm going to use 30 pixels for that. And I'm going to use, I need a border style, border dash style, and I'm going to do outset on this one, semicolon. And you can begin to see that happening if you're watching over there where it says Sean Connery over there on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see that all beginning to happen. I might do a border dash width, and do it up to about 10 pixels. That makes it thicker. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to throw in a background. Oh man, I can't type, sorry. Background dash color. And again, I'm just throwing on a color for the time being, and then I'm going to click on the name of the color, click the lightning bolt, and then just go get something I kind of like here. What do I kind of like for this? It's got to be light. It's got to be light. I guess I'm not too upset. I'm being too picky. This is a demo. Now I want some padding. That's required today. So, and you can, again, you can do padding top, padding left, padding right, but I'm just going to do padding, and I want it in pixels. So I'm just going to do about 10 pixels of padding. So I get a little space around the, you know, just a little space around the text. That's what padding is for. And oh, it also needs a little margin work here. So I think I'll do margin dash left. And we'll do 20 pixels, no, 20%. I'm going to do 20% there. All right, and then I'm going to do margin. I don't know if you like the way this looks, but I'm showing you. I didn't spell it right. Margin dash right, colon, and I'm going to do another 20% there and semicolon. And that would look a whole lot better, I think, if I did text dash align center semicolon. That's coming together, you know. And again, I don't know. You might look at mine and say, well, it doesn't look that great, but you work on yours and make it look the way you want. So border styles and padding and margin have to be in there on these things. Now, real quickly, I'm going to do something for images. IMG curly bracket. And then we're going to go for the images. I'm not going to do that much. I might just do a border dash style and make it solid, I think. Semicolon there. Don't forget your semicolons. A border dash. I want it to be a little, I can't type, I can't spell. A border dash width. And I'm going to use pixels here, so I'm going to do 20px, semicolon. Now this is where we begin to see, so what happens with when you add like padding on that. Let's go 10 pixels of padding. You see what happened with the padding? There's a little space between the picture and the border. See it? See it? See it? See it? Look at that. All right, and I want you to throw that in there. I want you to put some padding on it. And on this one, on the image, I'm just going to throw in a margin dash left. We're going to get into the idea of how do you center an image. And I'm just going to do some pixels here, I think. Am I just going to do some pixels? No, I'm going to do some percentage here. I'll do 30. Pixels and percent are very different, right? You know what? Let's kind of make that look more centered. Let's go like 40%. That's not perfectly centered, but it's kind of centered. I might just try it at like 35%. I like that a little bit better. Okay, so all of this, right? All of this to take it to a new place where it looks different than it did before. And that's what you have to do today. You have to make it look different than it did before. But you have to have these 4 rules. You got paragraph, you got H1, you got H2, and you got image. And on each one of those, and again, look at the handout, you're going to have border, padding, and margin. Some form of them. Border, padding, and margin. Border, padding, and margin. Border, padding, and margin. Border, padding, and margin. Is you getting tired of hearing me say it? Good, because that means it's getting into your head, because that's what I want today. I want some border, padding, and margin on all 4 of these rules. Paragraph, H1, H2, and image. It should not do. It shouldn't look just like mine. Don't make it look just like mine. Do your own thing. But border, padding, and margin on all 4 of those rules. All right, it's your turn. Let's go.